Wake up and smell the grass. Hi, welcome back. There is so much hate in this world. It doesn't matter where you go on the internet, you will always find hate. Now, I understand why someone would spread hate. If a horrible situation were to occur and the person or the people responsible for it don't give a good, reasonable explanation as to why it occurred, or they just don't say anything to explain how it occurred, then the people watching are going to say awful, hurtful things and spread hate towards them. But sometimes a person might just share their opinion about something, or a tragic event will occur and people will have a discussion about it. But the person who's watching them might disagree, and if they let their emotions get the better of them, they will say hurtful, awful things to them, all because they just don't agree with them. I don't like spreading hate regardless of what it may be, because I think it's just a waste of time and it doesn't do anything for me. The way I see it, hate is either slightly harmful or severely harmful. Slightly harmful hate could be a person who is just sharing their opinion about something they like, and another person is just going to disagree with them, and they'll just say hurtful, disrespectful things to them because they disagree. An example would be like if someone were to say, I like pineapple on pizza. Or if they believe that the greatest musical artist of our generation is Sam Smith. And then the person who sees this opinion starts calling this person names, disrespecting them, saying all kinds of hurtful things to them. This kind of hate is still harmful and it's not right, but it isn't as severe as the alternative, because all this is a discussion about different biases. People like different kinds of things, whether it has to pertain to food, music, video games, or pop culture in general. In the end, a reasonable person is going to see this kind of hate as nothing more than a person throwing a tantrum, and they'll disregard it because it's not going to cause any problems in the future. However, severely harmful hate does exactly that. I don't think I need to give an example as to what this kind of hate is, but what I will say is that a person who spreads this kind of hate is usually driven by racism, sexism, homophobia, or just malicious intent towards a religious group. That is most definitely harmful. People who share those kinds of statements are being very hurtful, and they are clouded by their beliefs in thinking that what they're doing is right, when in reality, they are saying things that just don't make any sense, and at the same time, they're being hurtful. I believe people tend to confuse hate with being critical, and they need to be aware of the differences. Being critical is all about expressing your disapproving or judgmental views on something, and it may involve an analysis of the merits or faults when it comes to a form of art, a form of music, a form of literature, or just news in general. When it comes to hate, all you're doing is pushing very hurtful and just downright disgusting comments about someone or something that may lead to other people who are misguided and don't take the opportunity to have an analysis of the situation to do the same. All it takes is one influential person to say one harmful thing about a scenario, and it will cause all kinds of mayhem by other people jumping in and doing the same. Whenever we view tragedy or we view a situation that is serious and that is just horrible, it's important to find the context behind that, especially if it's going to lead people to have severely harmful thoughts about the people surrounding this situation. If we don't take the time to actually analyze what's going on and to hear the people that are involved in it, then we're just going to make assumptions, which will then lead us to believe in the people who did give an opinion about it and are just saying ridiculous things that make no goddamn sense because they are self-entitled and they believe that they're right about everything. If you're going to be critical about any kind of media, it's your responsibility to put in the work and research everything that you can about what it is that you're going to have an opinion about. Whenever it's something that is considered political or it comes from the news, it's very important to have an open mind and to go into it hoping to learn more about the situation rather than just looking at it at face value and believing that everything you see or everything you hear from people who have nothing to do with it, and to listen to people who have put no work into it whatsoever. I just think it's sad that a person might spend their life waiting for an individual to put out some kind of news or say some kind of opinion, all to just immediately say something awful or say something disrespectful because they are just filled with malicious intent. They have no real reason for why they hate this person or why they hate a situation in general. Whenever there's news about a tragedy or there's news about something awful and people are going to share an opinion about it, that person is going to disregard all of it because they're so used to just initiating with hate. Anytime someone says something that they disagree with, it's going to make them angry because their mindset has been wired to just have that kind of reaction every single time, because they refuse to give the benefit of the doubt, because they refuse to hear a second opinion. Instead, because they hated it from the very beginning, they have to hate it all the way up until the very end. It's just pathetic. And I don't see any value in that. It's important for people to actually learn from situations, to learn from people, to hear them out. Because how else are you going to learn if you're not going to open yourself to hearing different opinions, to hearing different beliefs, to hearing different ideas and compare them? It's not about proving who's right or wrong. It's understanding the truth and putting the facts together to then realize, oh, maybe I was wrong, or maybe I just didn't see this clearly. And now that I have done the research and I've done all the analysis that I need, I can provide a much more objective point of view. You may have your fears and you may have your own beliefs about a scenario, but the whole idea about being critical is to not just apply your opinions on the situation. It's also meant for you to dive deep into the disbeliefs that you had because you just were never given the opportunity to challenge them, to see whether or not it was just a bunch of irrational thinking to begin with. It's not my place to analyze the hate that goes on the internet and validate it. I don't believe hate is the right way to go when trying to spread an idea. Facts and truths are what validate a critic. And by giving a reasonable explanation to how they reach this conclusion is essential. Hate will always be around, and it's obvious that it's never going away. But I just think that you as a person should try better to avoid that, to not let your emotions get the better of you, and to try your best to actually analyze what a person is saying or analyze a situation, so then you can come to the conclusion and understand that, yeah, based off of what I've learned, I can now assert my opinion, I can assert what I believe in. The people that spread hate are usually just doing it for the attention, or they're trying to make themselves feel better by shitting on someone who they despise, all because they shared their thoughts on the matter. If all you do is disrespect someone for sharing their opinion about something, then how do you expect to have a normal conversation with anyone about anything? If all you do is verbally attack them or lash out at them because they shared their opinion that you disagree with on a sensitive topic, then I just think you're an insufferable person who's closed-minded and isn't willing to listen in any kind of discussion, which is why I think instead of hating on them, you should try to be more critical on that person. Just because you're listening to them and just because you're criticizing them does not mean you're hating on them. Being critical is not just about pointing out their merits or the quality of their discussion or talking about the good points that they made throughout the whole conversation. You can also point out their faults, their issues, as well as what you believe to be wrong about their statements, which is why after you listen to what they had to say about their belief or say about their opinion, you can then form your own argument to counter it, as well as establish why you believe that this makes more sense than what they just said. It can be frustrating, but you can't just let your anger get the better of you by losing all sense of yourself and being irrational and just attacking someone all because they said something you disagree with. Doesn't make you a better person. I feel that throughout my life, if I would have just listened, if I would have just shut my mouth and actually paid attention to what people had to say about subjects that I thought were correct the way I thought about them, then I wouldn't have been such a disrespectful individual, that I wouldn't have said such awful things to people just because they didn't agree with me, which goes to show that hating on someone doesn't help you in any form or fashion. No matter how sensitive or no matter how important the topic may be to the world, you have to show that you're capable of accepting the facts, accepting reality, and understand that you could be wrong and that your belief may not make any sense. But that's the whole point of being criticized, as well as criticizing someone else. When you find out who's making a more valid point based off of everything that they've shown and everything that they've proven, then you're able to come to a conclusion and maybe meet in the middle. And obviously you don't have to agree with them at the very end. You could still disagree. But at least when you finally understand where this person is coming from, you could find out that maybe they didn't have malicious intent to begin with. And if they did have malicious intent, then it's your job to actually prove to them that they have malicious intent. Prove that they're the ones being irrational and that they're letting emotions get the better of them. And prove that their reasoning does not have any logic and does not apply to reality at all. It's okay to be angry, but if you're gonna let that anger turn into hate because you believe it'll make you feel better, in reality it's just gonna make you feel mentally unhealthy. All I wanna do is have a conversation with someone. I want to discuss with them issues that I have with certain things, as well as topics that I want to learn more about. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I just want to understand. I want things to make sense. So that way, when I do come across someone who I agree with or disagree with, I can then bring up everything that I've learned or bring up all the things that people have shared with me. And hopefully I can provide a new perspective or maybe even change someone's mind. That's really all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Thanks again for watching and keep being awesome.